Aloha. Welcome to the Caring Caregiver Show. I'm your host, Savi, founder of Give Me a Break, which, of course, is a nonprofit organization that cares for caregivers. We're here to bring back the joy of caregiving, and each week we help caregivers to survive. You can go ahead and check out our website. It's gab808.org. And if you really need an emergency assistance, go ahead and text 808-754-3787, or you can email info@gab808.org, and you can get more support. If you go onto our website too, gab808.org, there is a button there for caregiver support. And if you go ahead and click on that, we will definitely get back to you right away. And you're all going to have to just get an apology from me this week. Was fighting a fever all night long. Not sure where it came from or what it is. And so I'm a little worn for the wear of last night. So I'm not my perky self, of course, which is probably a good thing. But nonetheless, I'm really, really excited to share our guests today. So I wanted to make sure I was here and I made it. So on with the show. We do offer you a break as well. There we go. We do offer you a break as well, and I don't like that one. That's the one I like. And caregivers, our support sessions are online. They're totally affordable, free, and convenient online. What more could you ask for? So get connected to a community of caregivers just like you. They're 2 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time, 7 p.m. Central Daylight Time, and that will change, of course, after daylight savings. So make an adjustment. And 8 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time. So we have these different sessions for you to join in. Just log online, simply enter into any Zoom app the meeting ID 808-754-3787, and that will get you in. This is your safe space, caregivers. This is where you can join a community of caregivers just like you. Say what you have to say, get it off your chest, and get support from people who are going through what you're going through. Community means everything, and I hope you join our community. And another way you can get supported is through our Givers Guides magazine. You all know about our Givers Guides magazine. What the Givers Guides does is it is a magazine that's, of course, online, because I know you can't carry around a magazine with you everywhere you go. You're carrying an adult diaper bag, you're carrying a wheelchair, you've got all kinds of things you're trying to juggle when you're a caregiver. So don't worry about that. All you need is your phone. You got that. You can go on your phone or your tablet or your laptop, and you can look at the magazine online. So when you're sitting there in the doctor's office and they're there and they're in their appointment, you can be reading a magazine that's written for you by caregivers. It's an exclusively written that way with a caregiver's point of view. And so knowing you're getting support and education in that issue is going to make all the difference for you. Here's our current issue right now, the June. If you haven't gotten June, we're celebrating Men's Health Awareness Month this month. And so we've got a caregiver story in there of a wonderful friend of mine, Tiny Tadani, who you all may know, and his story and his journey with his father's dementia. So get your subscription, go to giversguides.com, check it out. By the way, 45% of all caregivers are male. And half of them are caring for a female. That means they're caring for their spouse or their mother or their sister or their aunt. And you can imagine what that is like. So we have a little heart for you this month, and we're sharing that this issue is completely dedicated to you. All the articles are written with you in mind. So guys, check it out. It is episode 2 of season 12, and I am so honored to have gone 12 seasons now, and I'm really excited about this season and all the guests that we're going to have, and it really is all about caregivers. So you really don't want to miss a single show, but if you do, don't worry. You can always catch it on podcast later, and let's get on with it. Our first guest has actually been on the show to share his story and journey of caring for his mother, which led him to founding together with Sharon in memory of her and her fight with Parkinson's disease. And I have him back today because we want to talk about his book as well and just get an update. Hello, George. How are you? Welcome. This is
Thanks.
George and Dr. George, actually.
Thanks as always for your time and the audience. It means the world to me, and just an honor to be with you again.
Oh, it's so nice. You're such a kind soul. I just really appreciate having you on the show. And so just tell us a little bit. I know some people may or may not have heard the full story, but just give us a little bit about what it was like with your mom and how that all came about and how it led to Together for Sharon.
Yeah, again, I appreciate it. Unfortunately, I think we need a lot more awareness for Parkinson's disease. It's the fastest growing neurological disorder in the US and around the world. Approximately 1 million people in the US, but 10 million, which I was shocked, around the world, from the UK to Hawaii to you name it, even Nova Scotia, Iceland. It doesn't really discriminate. My mother had Parkinson's for about 15 years. She kind of hid it in a way. She didn't really show major signs till the seventh year when I had to take over as her caregiver the last 4 years. She was a very giving person and didn't want to burden everyone, I guess. I wish we could go back and rewind, and I wish she had shared it earlier. I don't think there's anything we could have really done
Yeah.
to have prevented it. The saddest part is today I actually was, I've been home due to my own surgery, but I was looking back at some photos and videos, and my wife sent me a beautiful video I just posted of my mother actually sitting in a chair while my daughter, her granddaughter, was playing the piano and she was learning. And even in that last video, I saw my mother kind of moving uncontrollably and kind of saddened me. And then I realized I actually kept many videos and photos the last year of her life that I never shared and I never will, because it just, it's a horrible disease. And I try to bring a lot of the positive. Obviously, I lost my best friend and my mother due to the disease, but I have become an advocate for all those still battling and their families, and met some incredible, inspiring people like yourself, and so many amazing positive things that really keep me going when the days are somewhat still tough. It's been about 4 years since she passed. She was only 69, which is still heartbreaking because I believe you should 2024 live to 85 or beyond. And there are people, that's why the disease is such a complicated disease. There's no cure. And there's
Yeah.
also really difficult to diagnose. They usually test I'm not a medical doctor, but the doctors out there, the experts, will test for other diseases and kind of, if you don't have those, throw you into Parkinson's. So that becomes a problem because of, medications and diagnosis,
Right.
late
Right.
diagnosis, and wrong. But my mother, again, was my best friend. I spoke to her several times a day. I'm proud. I always say to be a mama's boy. I need one of those shirts that say "proud to be a mama's boy." And some people say it was a different relationship, but I think it was one that I wish I still had. And there's not a day. There's some nights, even last night, I don't sleep. Not just thinking about my mother, but all those people now. The millions that are affected by this disease, and that's why we're here today.
Well, and that's the thing with Parkinson's, right? Is a lot of people think of the movement and the shaking, but there's so much more to the disease that overwhelms a person. Hallucinations and other ways that the body starts to deteriorate that just are so sad to watch and see. And medication can make a difference in some instances, but like you said, I think a lot of people go misdiagnosed, and we don't know enough about it. So I love that you are on your orange crate for Parkinson's, because any dementia related diseases all need as much information as we can get out there. As you know, my mother is in her final stage of dementia as well.
Sorry to hear.
She has, yeah, she has Lewy body dementia. So she's actually now in really just the final part. She's non ambulatory, non auditory. She doesn't, uh, really do much of anything. Her eyes don't even focus anymore. So it's been a long journey, and I know how hard that can be. So we need more awareness, and we need more people like you, George.
Thanks. Well, one real quick point is that you're never alone, and that's my only goal is with Together, excuse me, for Sharon.com or anything I do, we don't accept money, like literally. If you send me a penny, I'll send it back to you. I'm not in. That's not why we're here. I do
Yeah.
countless hours voluntary. Last April was Parkinson's Awareness Month. We flew around the country to New York City for the Michael J. Fox Foundation's Unity Walk, which raised about $2 million in just a few hours. Got to meet some incredible people like Katie Couric, the famous broadcaster, and Muhammad Ali's daughter. And I met with Michael J. Fox again. And it's just horrible to see what it does even to him. He's a hero of mine because he's an advocate, but he got in his 30s, and that's a big problem. Is the
Yeah.
misconceptions of Parkinson. It's not an elderly man disease. Women have it, young people have it.
Yeah.
It's an epidemic. But like I said, I feel that we need to be a family in this fight, and we don't have the hours of time I would love to speak about. But sometimes, unfortunately, we're not a family. There are people like you and me who are. But I find even as a right now, I don't have Parkinson's. My mother no longer is with us, so I'm not a caregiver of someone living with Parkinson's. So it puts me into kind of an odd category of someone who was a caregiver of someone who passed. And I find that even today, I don't have a lot of say with some of the big organizations. They either don't want really to hear about what the end is of life, or they just don't want to face reality. And again, Parkinson's, as we mentioned, is so complicated because every person's journey is different. So people can live long life. They do say you don't die of Parkinson's, you die with it, but it wasn't the case with us. My mother was a young 69 and she had no other medical issues. I don't know if it was complications of medicines or who knows. It's so complicated, as you
Right.
know. But no matter what, it's where we are and what I fight for. But it's really sad, to be honest, in 2024 when sometimes I feel like I have to prove that I'm real, that I don't want anything. Even if you go to our donation page, you'll see links for big organizations like Michael J. Fox, and they were kind enough. I mean, I donated $500 just today, just because I miss my mother. But we've donated over $20,000 of our own money to different organizations. But if you go to the site, those links are from the organization in memory of my mother. So we have nothing to do with it. It's
Right.
nice because I don't have to get involved in the money, but you still have like odd people out there, maybe just two or three that just don't believe someone can actually do all this with no,
Yeah.
I'm not going to gain anything. We can't bring my mother back, but we can help so many others who
Right.
feel alone. And I felt alone. My mother did. And I wish, we had a resource like Together for Sharon.com. And wish I knew you and so many incredible people out there that really outweigh those few negative ones.
Yeah, right, right. And that does happen. I think that that's the importance of creating awareness is that we have to tell our story, whether it's a pre-story, a post-story, or happening right now. We have to tell that story, and the more we can speak about it, and the more we can get people to hear it, the better we'll create an awareness. And I know you had written a book as well. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's really exciting. I think the last time we spoke, I didn't have a book, so it's kind of
Yes.
incredible. I never really wanted to get into all this or share everything, but I decided that the last year of my mother's life was one of the toughest, and I do feel I fit a little bit more in with the caregiving community because we were all caregivers. So I decided, well, when I was caring for my mother, the last year I kept a journal and I never shared it. It went through the good, the bad, and the ugly of my time literally hand in hand with my mother and caring for her. So I decided why not put that in a book, but it ended up becoming something bigger than even me. And I go into the signs of Parkinson's, the symptoms, the treatments, how important my wife and children were in supporting me even today. But it goes through the journey of my mother from
Yeah.
childhood up to Parkinson's and then my life, but how I went from caregiver to today advocate. And there are some very positive messages and tips and things that you shouldn't follow that I did and did it shouldn't have, and also goes to the uh, even some of my mother's friends and family in a chapter sent wrote notes and letters about their experience
Yes.
and when they found out, and finally my mission forward and how grateful I am to so many like you who helped me cope. I'm still grieving even 4 years later every day. I mean, even before we met today, that's why I was so excited to talk to you because this really actually helps me a lot just
Yeah.
being like you said to talk. So there's just a lot of positive out of the darkness, and I just wanted to make sure everyone knows they're never alone.
Yeah, I love that. Thank you. And we say that all the time, right? And I don't know if people realize too that caregivers go through a PTSD of our own. We have it's very traumatic and going through the journey, and then afterwards we have to combine that with grief and sorrow. So anytime we can shed light and anytime we can come together as a community is a wonderful, wonderful thing. Thank you so much, George. Now they can go to Together for Sharon, and that's www.togetherforsharon.com if you want to get the book and if you want to donate to some of these organizations, but also just to get some encouragement and to get some knowledge. And anytime anyone wants to help us and advocate, please let us know, because George and I are more than happy to involve you and get you up to speed on what's going on in the world of all of these horrible, horrible diseases, because we have to come together as a community. And I'm proud to have you as part of ours. So thank you so much, George.
I
And
appreciate.
thank you for your time today.
And I just had one last message. I think I said it to you last time, but this is to you and the audience. So we love you, we support you, we care about you, and you're never alone. I'll advocate along with you, of course, and together our voices are so much stronger.
Yeah.
And I always say I'm just getting started because every day, I mean, even I've interviewed 700 people around the world, not just the U.S. for awareness, because people, again, it's not just about me and my mother anymore. Unfortunately, it's about everybody, and I wanted to share their journeys like you do today, helping me. But even just today, I kind of cut back on it because it's overwhelming and had to
Yeah.
move on. Now I do a little bit of podcast shows from Parkinson, but I even just today I met someone. It's up there now. Just finished before we got on, and she actually like traveled the world in a sailboat, and for Parkinson, she has Parkinson, and it's just incredible. Some of these stories that
Yeah.
these people are like heroes to me, and it's great, and we wouldn't even know about them. But that's why the only journey that breaks my heart is the one I'm not aware, and there are so many more, and we still have work to do. And I just, again, so grateful again for your friendship, support, and time. And I send it right back to you, your family, and your mother. And we love you too.
Thank you. Oh, thank you so much, George. I really appreciate you. Thank you. Aloha. Oh, wow. So again, you guys, www.togetherforsharon.com, information right there. If you know somebody who's going through Parkinson's or has come out of it or is worried that it's coming, and someone you're caring for, please put them in contact with George and his organization. What a wonderful organization and great people in the world. So thank you so much, George. We are completely blessed to have you in our community. Okay, so let's move on. Our next guest is a 13-year cancer thriver. I love that she writes that, a thriver, not a survivor, but a thriver, a cancer doula, an independent patient advocate, cancer health equity consultant, a podcaster as well, and the founder and CEO of On the Other Side, and so much more. Please welcome Talea Dendi. Aloha, Talea. How are you? Oops, there's no sound. Let's see, you might have to unmute your mic.
Aloha.
There you go.
Thank you for having me. I'm well, and I'm so honored to be here today with you. Thank you.
Oh, I'm so honored to have you. Your story is so amazing. And, being a cancer survivor yourself, um, well, let's just do this. Tell me about your journey. Let's talk about that first, and then
Yes,
I'll,
thank
yeah.
you. I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma in 2011 out of the blue. And I say out of the blue because I was never sick before. Other than the cold or the flu, I was never sick. So, other than the normal annual exams, dental, eye doctor, physical, I was not a savvy healthcare consumer. So, of course, a cancer diagnosis really uh, forced me to really learn really quickly about how the healthcare system worked, who to even go to ask specific questions, how to formulate those questions to get the information I needed. And so for me, it was just a whirlwind and just trying to figure out what direction to go. Excuse me.
Take
Excuse
your
me.
time. Good. Yeah, while you're drinking and recovering yourself. I know exactly how that feels. I have my cup of tea right here just because of it.
Excuse me.
That's all
And
right.
so just really trying to figure out how to navigate the healthcare system.
Yeah.
And at a young age, I was the only person, my age going into the infusion center. Most of the time, people were looking at me like, "What are you doing here?"
Are you a nurse?
Exactly. Yeah. And so that whole experience just really changed my life, of course. The thing that I learned, Savvy, was that there was no support for my mom. My mom was my caregiver, and no one was really sharing information with her about how to care for herself, how to really care for me, what to look out for, just how to be a caregiver. And so a lot of times, she was just sitting there as they're talking to me, wondering what should she be doing. And again, no one was really addressing those questions or talking directly to her. The other thing that I noticed was that my mom lost a lot of weight. She was under a lot of stress, just like me. And I don't think people really realize how stressful it is for the family, the loved ones, the caregivers as well. Even though, their loved one is dealing with a chronic illness or something like cancer, it is very stressful for everyone. And so the fact that my mom, was really, she lost weight, I could tell she was stressed because she lost weight, but she never complained. She never was showed anger. She never showed frustration.
Yeah.
She was always asking, "What do you need me to do?" Now, years later, she shared with me that she felt helpless. She
Oh,
wasn't sure what she should have been doing. She's like, "I'm not even sure if what I had done helped you." And I said, "The most important thing is, Mom, you were a force of presence. You were there every step of the way. So you did what you were supposed to do by caring for me, loving me, preparing meals, anything that she could do to help me, she did that. And just always being there. And so I think it's really important for caregivers to realize that you don't have to have all the answers. The most important thing is just to show up and just be
yeah.
there. Even if you don't know exactly what to say,
Right.
that's okay. You're not going to always know what to say. You're not going to always know what to do,
Yeah.
but just being there. Sometimes we have people that say, "Let me know if you need anything," or something like that. And you reach out
Yeah.
and they're not responsive. So that can be very helpful too. And so I think it's really important for people to realize that if you are extending that, stand by that. So that person, who is in need of care, they may not know what they need in that moment.
Yep.
But one day they may say, "I really need you to go to the pharmacy and get some medication." Well, if they reach out to that person and that person is not available or they don't respond, that can be a hurtful feeling.
Yeah.
So I really think communication is a big part of it.
Yes.
And although I've never been a caregiver myself, um, I know that my experience really helped me learn about what is really important for caregivers.
Yeah.
And then also with the individuals that I support, helping them connect with their family, their caregiver, it really shows me what's all involved, what's needed, and what's missing.
Yeah, because now you can now in that way you've become a caregiver of the caregivers in that understanding and being able to kind of guide and help them and see the importance of self-care, of wellness, of keeping balanced. But I love what you said because it's really true. There will be people who actually very, very much out of the kindness of their heart will offer and say, "Let me know if there's anything I can help you with." And yet as a caregiver or as a patient even, you don't know what to ask for. You just don't because you're
Mhm.
so in it. It's so like it's matrix, you're
Yeah.
going, all you're seeing is digital numbers. You can't even make out a shape or form in the journey. And so I think that for those people, maybe sometimes if you see there's a need take them a casserole, you know,
Yeah.
take them, go into the house and just do the laundry or, vacuum the house or just do something you would do yourself. Because I think sometimes you don't always get a response to that. They're not always going to say, well, yeah, I really need this. I think just maybe sitting and talking might be enough, or make a cup of tea and say, let's sit down and take a break, and that might be all that you need to do. But thank you to all those people who always want to help. But know that we don't know how to ask for it. It's really funny. I've been trying to teach caregivers that they are the CEO of their caregiving journey, and
Mhm.
that they no longer need to ask for help. They need to delegate. So we're no longer asking for help. We are now delegating what we need. So be the CEO, delegate what you need, and get it done. And then that way, you don't seem like you can't handle it, right? It's in your control.
Yeah.
So that's a really big one. I just think that's
Mhm.
a really big one. And I'm glad you brought that up.
Thank you.
Um, yeah, and then you also on your site on the other side, you also have like meditations and guided meditations, right? Talk to me about some of those services.
Sure. So primarily, my focus is supporting people who have been diagnosed with cancer. However, a lot of times it has come up that their loved one needs some support as well, and they're not sure where to go. And so that is some of the support that I provide to caregivers as well, is just really talking with them one on one, helping them to understand the importance and impact of the care that they're giving to their loved one. Because a lot of times they don't realize it. They're just going through the motions. And I think it's so important for caregivers to realize how important and what an impact they are making.
Yeah,
Then also talking with them and making sure that they're taking care of themselves as
right.
best as possible. Are they getting enough sleep? Are they eating as healthy as possible? Are they getting some exercise and movement in? And then also making sure that they are setting those boundaries as well. You know, when you are a caregiver, you're not going to be able to do the laundry, go to work, go get groceries, do all these different things. You said it earlier, you have to learn how to delegate. And I think that's so important as well. The other thing that I found in supporting cancer patients is that caregivers want to be heard and seen as well. And sometimes they just want someone to hear them. And so a lot of what I do for caregivers and with caregivers is just listen. It's not always about, hey, let's solve this problem.
Right.
It's, hey, I just want to be heard today.
Yeah.
And that's a part of the support that I provide as well. And the other part is helping both parties, the person being cared for and the caregiver, helping them to guide those really tough conversations because sometimes communication can break down. The patient, the person being cared for, can just feel like the caregiver doesn't understand what they're going through. They don't get it. And that can cause frustration and tension. And the caregiver can feel like, well, I'm doing the best that I can. They don't appreciate anything. But bringing those two parties together and helping them to have a healthy yet honest conversation about where they are, what they're feeling, what they need, and what's not aligning so that they can move forward as a positive and connected unit, which is so important for both
Yeah.
parties.
Absolutely. And I think it's harder even when they're closer, like a mother and daughter, or a
Yes.
spouse, or a close friend, or, when you have that relationship and then cancer comes in to say hello, it changes the dynamic of that relationship. And you really have to communicate in a whole different way. So I love that you guide that, and that you are someone that can go in and say, okay, let's talk about this. Let's
Yeah,
let's communicate. We need that, and we need more of you and
absolutely.
what you do. I love that you actually do it's a guided meditation, and it's calm after the storm. I love that as part of what you say. Just let's talk about that too.
Absolutely. So I offer a free guided meditation, and it's for caregivers, it's for cancer patients, survivors, thrivers, anyone really. And what that guided meditation is, there's two versions. There's an audio and then there's a video. The audio is just me talking through it with them, and the video is actually just a really serene background with the actual guided meditation scrolling through the screen. And the benefits of guided meditation is that it helps to manage anxiety and fear. It gives the person a sense of inner peace. It helps them to connect with their breath and body, which is so important in regulating the immune system, the nervous system, I should say. It's really important in regulating the nervous system to help bring calm. And then it also helps just on the healing journey itself. I don't think a lot of people realize that, yes, the person being cared for is working on healing, but the caregiver is healing from their own trauma as well. Being a caregiver,
Yeah.
learning that their loved one, is going this through this traumatic event, this
Yeah.
traumatic health experience. And so the guided meditation is really to help bring peace and calm and help to regulate the nervous system so that, maybe the caregiver or the patient can sleep better, just be less anxious, ease depression, those kinds of things.
And that's a free guided meditation. In fact, I just put the link to that in the chat. So for those of you watching, the link is right there in the chat. And for those of you listening on podcast later, just contact us at info@gab808.org to get that link, or just go on her website,
Yeah.
which is on the other side. I love that, on the other side,
Mhm.
and it's on the other side dot life. And so www.ontheotherside.life. And you can go on to Leia's website and then click on to the free meditation there and get that, because you deserve it. And what a wonderful thing that you offer that for free. So
Thank
thank you
you.
for that and for your heart and what you're doing. I find more and more people that I talk to who are so mission driven now, passion mission driven, really, because of having survived. And, the statistic is that 50% of all caregivers will not survive. They'll pass before the one they're caring for. So the
Yeah.
other 50% I'm finding that are surviving the journey of caregiving or even a disease, but come out of it really mission oriented, just wanting to make a difference and wanting to tell everybody, look, I made it. Now you can too. And so I love this community of people who are putting their hearts in the right place, right? And there is a world of resource for you out there, caregivers. And if any of you who are watching are going through any kind of disease that you're fighting, you're not alone. Just like George said earlier too, right? You're not alone. There's a whole community. There are resources. And one like this one here that Talea has is just amazing.
Thank
Being able to go and get all that information on one website and being able to go through a guided meditation as well is an amazing thing. And knowing that you'll listen, that's one of the best things we can really do for each other.
Yes, I agree. I
Yeah.
always say listening is a love language. So,
I
yes.
love that. Yes. I love that. Thank you so much. Was there
Thank
anything else
you.
you wanted to share with us today?
I just want to thank you for having me here with you today. And I want to thank you for all the work that you do for caregivers and families as well. It's very important. And I wish my mom had someone like you when she was my caregiver. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. I love hearing that. And I know I wish I had this when I was going through it. So
Yeah.
I'm thankful that I survived. And out of that thankfulness, I will see if I can get more and more people to survive the journey. So thank you so much, Talia. Have a
You,
wonderful afternoon. I really
you
appreciate you
too.
coming on. Thank
Thanks
you.
for having me.
Bye. All right. Wow. What a great show this is. I know, the world is so filled with so many wonderful people. And I really want to thank my guests today and know that every week the Caring Caregiver Show is going to bring you more and more of these amazing souls that can help you through your journey and that will listen and guide you and talk to you and share with you. and be able to help you through whatever you're going through. We're not alone in this world, and we're going to create this community worldwide. Know that this show is brought to you by Give Me a Break and sponsored by Givers Guides Online Magazine. So get your subscription and keep all this coming. The Caring Caregiver Show is all about connecting caregivers to resources and community, and your wellness and survival is the goal. Season 12 is really filled with a lot of amazing things, so you don't want to miss a single show. Put it on your calendar. We're here every Wednesday at 12 noon. And again, if you miss, don't worry. If you miss it, just you can always check it out on our website. Oh, let me pop that up. Ha ha ha. I remembered. There you go. caringcaregivershow.com. You can always go there to watch the videos and go on to any podcast app, Apple, Stitcher, Google. Gosh, there's so many. A week after each show. And you'll be able to listen to us in podcasts. So, and I know some of you that are listening to us in podcast, thank you. I don't always thank you, and I hear from you, and I really appreciate all of your encouragement, and we will keep this going for as long as we can and keep bringing resources to you. Also, the Caring Caregiver Show is now also on Olelo TV 53 right here in the state of Hawaii, and so you can always watch us on TV as well. Whatever you do, just stay connected. Stay connected. All right. And don't ever isolate yourself, because you don't need to. We are out here. We are here for you. You have a community, and just thank you. Thank you for being brave, and we're all going to survive this. We're going to change that statistic. So remember to breathe. And here's hoping you're finding more joy in caregiving every week and right here on the Caring Caregiver Show. Thanks for tuning in today, and please always be kind to yourself and especially to those who are caring. Aloha, everyone. Thank you.